Right, okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to stand by here for a quick sound check. Perfect, okay, that's that bit done. Right, okay, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Flavell, the post-sales manager and dedicated trainer here at Dahua Technology UK and Ireland. Thank you for joining today's Intelligent Display and Smart Networking webinar. So, of course, over the next 60-odd minutes or so, I'm in fact actually going to show you a couple of technology. I'm surrounded by equipment in here. I'm going to show you some videos. I'm going to show you some specifications of new tech. And then, of course, throughout the course of the day, I think we've got a couple of our members of staff there who will be standing by to answer any questions that you might have at any time. So let me just show you a couple of things to get started. So many of you have in fact actually of course been on our training courses, many of you have not. So if you could all kindly look me up on LinkedIn there, guys. I think you will find my LinkedIn profile massively educational with all of the videos that we do. You know, we do an awful lot of videos. You know, there's Ajax integration, NVR, Risco integration, so on and so forth. So of course, if you look me up on the actual LinkedIn, then of course I can keep you up to speed with everything that's going on for the actual Dahua channel these days. Our YouTube channel, which I believe is Dahua UK and Ireland, that is also extremely worthwhile looking up and following on that one. And then of course, another factor following on is that if you're not familiar with our training platform, then of course you can in fact actually participate in dedicated trainings like this, you know, using the actual webinar. So at the moment it's all online. I'm hoping in May we'd actually do the whole online offline aspect, but of course, like as of right now, if you haven't joined the actual training, then of course you can participate in that, and then of course we can bring you up to speed on how to set up the equipment to best yourself, and of course the quality of service. It's good to see so many of the people in the webinar today is in fact actually has been to the DHSA and DHSAP. I can see lots of good names there, so thank you for coming back. Right, okay, let's get this underway. So the technical display and smart transmission. So let's start right there. So of course now, as it appears for most people, whenever they hear about Dahua technology, then of course their first thoughts, NVRs, XVRs, IP cameras, analog cameras. However, though, our product range is so much more vast than that. We in fact actually have encoders, decoders, video walls, the display signage. We have a great deal greater than that particular product range alone. So of course, like with that said, what we're going to do today is we're going to show you some of this tech, just so then that way it might in fact actually open a few doors for newer possibilities for you guys also using the Dahua technology brand. Okay, now this webinar we are going to be doing the same quiz. I believe it's like a game, I believe. So there's what we do is we download the Kahoot app. There's going to be a code that I have here. I'm just going to leave that there for a little bit. But of course, you download the actual Kahoot app. There's going to be a couple of questions at the end. So of course, obviously, you know, feel free to take as many notes as you can. And then of course, like at the end, I believe that, you know, anybody getting 100% or winning or so on and so forth, they actually get a goodie prize supplied by Dahua as well. So of course, like I'll just leave that there for 10 more seconds, guys. It might be worthwhile participating. It's just a little bit of fun. Okay, and going. Okay, right. So now our objectives today then. So what we have is we have a vast range of networking equipment and display equipment and videos to see. Some of the videos are already up on YouTube and LinkedIn. Some of you may not have seen any of them yet. So of course you might find them somewhat educational within itself. And then of course going forward from that, then of course I do honestly believe that whenever you see some of the content shown here today, as per also the commercial webinar that we did earlier on, I believe that you could in fact actually dive into new opportunities that could lead to bigger projects by using the tech that we're going to show you in the next hour. Okay, so first of all, we'll start off with display, and of course that's going to be LCD video wall display. Okay, so this is a common LCD video wall topology, and it is mostly, in fact, actually powered behind the M70. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just interrupt this slide presentation here by stopping that, which means my webcam comes full screen, and I'm going to show you this is a M70. Okay, so of course the actual M70 technology is a very large unit, however though massively powerful. So I'm just going to press these gets here. Let's see if we can get these out. These are pretty much well done in here. Now the M70 has a range of encoders and decoding cards. The actual expansion unit actually takes up to 10 devices in the actual M70. But of course, like this one here, this is a four channel in HDMI encoder. The second one is a 6-channel decoder HDMI. So of course I can in fact actually, use this to be able to generate a single video wall, or in fact actually I could have in fact actually had 4 banks of 6 HDMI outs. So of course this is where the actual M70 comes into play, and of course it is a very massive, powerful unit. So of course in all scenarios, whenever you do a video wall, then of course we should consider the actual M70, and of course we do have a range of decoders as well, 4K decoders as well. This is all available, but the magic really does hide behind that M70, because you could just do so much with it. You can get network expansion cards, you can get dual power supply cards, you can get a analog card to go into this device, you can get an analog encoding card to go into this to then display on your HDMI outs. So of course I think there's about 7 different variants of cards in total. However, they're massively powerful. In major LCD display opportunities, you can normally answer all of the factors questioned with an M70. Okay, so of course it is a pretty impressive piece of equipment, and it's a bit heavy. Okay. Now, digital signage though, digital signage really is the fun one. Okay, the digital signage is where we can in fact actually manipulate media streaming players, and of course we can upload our own content. We can use still images, Adobe Acrobat, PowerPoint presentation, even live camera feeds. So of course by using the actual digital signage, we can in fact actually use devices like this. I'm just going to show you quickly. This is a media player box, and of course, as you will see here, we in fact actually have a serial connection, and probably primarily for Dahua RS232 there. We have a micro SD card, but more importantly, 12-volt DC, audio jack, HDMI, couple of USBs for local interaction such as the mouse or storage, and of course a network card. The device is also wireless and wired. Okay, so of course this media streaming box is in fact actually powering this TV behind us now. That graphic is being sent by a media streaming box, and in a few moments you'll see how easy it is for me to change that. Now, of course, when it comes down to the actual digital signage, the applications of where we're going to use that, well, that's going to be massive. You're going to be talking about things like fast food. You're going to be talking about the retail sector, public space awareness sector. You're going to be talking about maybe a shopping center where somebody is in fact actually paid for the local NHS latest advert, and you display all of them on 25 screens all simultaneously. So of course, like the media, the digital signage really is a perfect element to be able to use for those applications. Okay. Now, of course, we can actually use the actual MPS software. I'm going to show you the MPS software in a second or so. And of course, with the actual MPS software, we can then in fact actually have multiple devices, multiple media players on the LAN and the WAN. And then of course, what we can actually do is we can control their outputs. And of course, the good bit about MPS is that it also has the ability to ensure, is the device working as okay? Is it online? Is it offline? So on and so forth. Is it streaming correctly? So on and so forth. So of course, like the MPS software is in fact actually very good for that. It sounds complicated. It looks like, it's very feature rich, looking at the specs there. However, no, it is so easy. I think I'm going to be able to change that screen maybe in 10 seconds flat, but we'll see in a minute. Now, digital signage product hardware, now that comes in various variations. So of course you've got the indoor outdoors, for example. So the outdoors, of course, obviously we have rigged to have like a water protection, weather protection, for example. And then of course the indoor ones, then of course they are very impressive. They're also wireless and wired, and of course they can in fact actually just be a screen on the wall if you wished. You can set a power supply to them. They could have a wireless antenna, and you could literally say, well, okay, go and change that video. And then of course you could just send it from your MPS straight to your digital signage, and it will start buffering. Now, of course, the good thing is, because of the onboard storage capacity on all digital signage devices, it's not like a constant buffering. It's not like YouTube, you know, like whenever you have to keep on buffering until the point that it's, you know, complete and then played. It will upload the whole audio or video file to the storage capacity of the digital signage and then play from there, meaning that had there been any connectivity issues after it's been uploaded, then of course it would be irrelevant, because the digital signage has been told what to do now. So of course, like if I take this off the net, then of course it's still going to do this blue graphic because it's in the device now. Whenever I in fact actually upload another audio or video file, it will replace the current one with what it is, and then of course it will start streaming again. So of course, like they do know how to take care of themselves in a way of, you know, good to partial telecommunications. Okay, the media box on the end there, that is in fact actually this one. Very powerful device. We have a innovation center next door to where I am now. We have 18, so okay, we have 16 media player boxes next door, and we just say, well, okay, I want this video there, there, and there. And of course, I think it takes maybe a minute or 2 minutes to set up a whole innovation center. This is the actual MPS software. And of course, what we do is I'll show you this a little bit better in a second or so. All we actually have to do is upload our content to the MPS server or designated computer, for example. We upload it to the actual software, and then of course we decide on how it can play out. Okay, so of course we do this. We go into the actual calendar. We release the plan. You can actually set up a media player box with the powers of MPS to actually play a different video at a different time of day. You could actually say from 0900 to 10 o'clock in the morning, then of course it will be a certain video, but at 4 to 5 it will be a completely different video as well. You can literally schedule your videos almost like a TV guide to in fact actually play the videos that you wish at that set time very easily. Then of course you can actually have the scrolling marquee release as well. So I did dabble with this. This is not too bad. If you wanted to use this in retail applications, or maybe some sort of signage where you needed to use public space information warnings or something to that level, you can actually put up a scrolling marquee letters on the actual characters, and then of course what it will do is whenever it's playing the video, it will actually scroll by the actual words that you set, which takes a few seconds within itself. It is pretty good whenever you're like, you know, stores opening in the next 5 minutes, these are the open times, you know, store closed temporarily. It's pretty good for that for sure, absolutely. Okay, and then of course a good factor is that because it is a Dahua media player box, then of course obviously it will be able to connect to Dahua IP cameras. But you can actually go from the media player box, wireless or wired, directly to the IP feed of a Dahua camera, and then of course it will stream on your media player box. Now, where you would use this, of course, obviously is a couple of hundred applications, but of course one that I saw only yesterday is that people were sitting there saying, right, okay, well, if that is the case, then could I in fact actually have my network video recorder installed in a domestic residence, possibly maybe like a loft installation, or possibly out of the way like a 42U network cabinet, and then could I actually set up one of these and just plug the HDMI into the actual monitor and then link back to my network video recorder? Well, in that case, absolutely you could. You could in fact actually set it up like that. So then that way, this then becomes your spot monitor, so to speak. You would still need the actual MPS software for sure, but that's not a big request. That's not a big problem. But of course, by doing that, then of course you can literally say, well, I've got 4 of these, I've got 4 monitors, and I will decide what 4 cameras are shown. It's a very powerful asset for me. I have a video wall behind the actual webcam, and I do that all of the time. Okay, this is another aspect of how you would do this, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you this because this content is good, but let's actually do it. So this is my MPS platform. Just going to log in here. Oh, here we go now. Let's refresh. Log in. Right, okay, so let's in fact actually just do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new plan, and I'm just going to call this up here 86 touch monitor. Okay, I'm going to go down to my preloaded content. Okay, so that's easy. You just go into Material Manager, upload your videos, and it looks like I'm going to go with this Dahua Hunter. What's that? That's a Dahua Hubble PTZ. So I'm just going to double click here, and it says it's going to display in full screen. Now, if I was to say no, don't do that at that stage, then that means I can actually rig it so then that way the display output has multiple videos on at any one time. I'm going to go with the okay for the moment though, and I'm going to release this plan. Now, there's the actual devices that we have. So of course, like I've turned off the video wall there, so that's my screens 1 through to 4. Then of course we've got the big screen in the other Indian Innovation Center, which is also down because I have the M70 here. But there's my screen 11, which is my media box with me here today. There's the calendar of where you can in fact actually do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on submit. And there we go. So let's stop that for a second. Okay, this video now is in fact actually coming from my media player box. And as you can see, that took seconds to do. It literally took seconds. I can actually do it again in minutes. So new, call it a name, media content. Then of course we've got this one here and release. There we go. Oh, channel 7, channel 7, and go. There we go. Another one. I can just keep on doing this, and of course it doesn't matter if it's on the LAN, the WAN, the wireless. I could just keep on doing this, and then of course I can change these contents based on this box here with this software. It takes literally seconds. Okay. So yep, this is what we did. And then of course there are a couple of other good factors. Now, if I just want to go back a couple of slides here. Let's say if I go back to this one here, this indoor monitor, the one on the far left, we actually have that. We have that here in this building. And one of its key features is in fact actually this section here, the face attendance template. So of course it's got a built-in template into the actual system, but then of course whenever you add the necessary IP camera, let's say, you know, like a face recognition or so on and so forth, then of course it will take that actual face, display it on a 16:9 or, you know, a horizontal monitor, and of course by doing that it can actually give you the ability to say, well, okay, that face here turned up at this time, that face here turned up at this time. And it's a really powerful asset. It kind of like, you know, pushes you to actually be on time because you've got this great big monitor as you come through, and of course, you know, it's your face with your clock, with a clock below it. So of course it's a really good feature for that. I've used it, it's great, and yeah, we will definitely be pushing that product for sure. Right, now let me do a couple of things here. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll turn that off in the background. I'm just going to select a different program. So new media background, just so that way we're not. There we go. Screen 11. Right, there we go. So just so that way we're not challenged by that all of the time. Right, okay, let's get this out of the way. And I'm going to show you guys a video. Now, on a webinar, videos are okay. They're not too bad. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to allow it to buffer, and then I'll press play again. Okay, just one moment. Today we're going to show you the media player box. Now these are the Dahua media player boxes built on an Android platform, and of course they are wired and wireless. They also play local input to the devices, and they also work on a network level as well as. And of course, as you can see here, standing in front of my video wall here, these are four 43-inch monitors, and they are all powered through my media player boxes. You can actually upload a video directly to this device or have it streamed from our MPS server, or you can in fact actually use a JPEG image. You can actually take a live video feed from our Dahua IP camera and of course then stream it to your media player box. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to control this video wall here now, and of course I'm going to tell my media player boxes what to do. I have a Windows platform here, and what I'm going to do is, using the Dahua MPS platform, I'm going to change all of these monitors to be a completely different video for a completely different application. Okay, monitor 1. Good. Monitor 2. Good. Monitor 3. Good. Monitor 4. Perfect. Our media player box is very useful for hospitality, fast food, retail applications. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the actual sequence, but now this time I want all of my monitors to respond to a video that we're going to push to the market. So I'm just going to do this here now. Okay, ready? And here on all four, activate. Excellent. Okay, now that I've connected my media player box to my 222-inch video wall, then of course now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create multiple videos showing on the big screen here. All I have to do is a slight bit of configuration, so just wait a second there. Okay, wait. Okay, ready, and activate. Take a look at that. How good is that? Okay guys, as you can see, an excellent device. So don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell. All the best. Okay, right. So as you can see, that was pretty good. I'm really impressed with the digital signage technology. Now I do actually have another one, because alongside digital signage is also transparent LED technology. Because when it comes down to the transparent LED, then of course, especially for like windows, you know, I've got a whole load of windows here. Then of course, if I was to block it out and of course not allow environment light to come through, then of course, you know, that may be seen as a negative. However, though, if you actually use transparent LED technology, then of course you can have an advertisement or in front of a pane of glass, but then of course in this time here, it could be completely see-through. And of course with the combination of the two, well, you'll see from the video yourself, it's somewhat quite impressive. Let me just show you this. This is the transparent LED, and what we actually created is all in-house. Now, of course, we will use this for like stadiums, so that'd be like the sports industry, or we'd in fact actually use it for retail, like shop windows or doors. And then, of course, it will create a transparent illumination through the actual device, and you just need to connect it to your electronic equipment. So what I'm going to do here now is lift this up, and I think you will be able to see me through. So, strength of test. Okay, and as you most likely saw, you in fact actually saw me through the actual transparent LED glass, and then of course it will be excellent to be able to do an advertisement but still allow environment light into the location. Excellent. Okay guys, thanks for attending. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and then like this video. All the best. Okay then, so transparent LED technology, very good. It's definitely worthwhile investing in that. Definitely worthwhile looking into that. It's so much easier in the actual video there because you know the way that video editing is done. Then of course, obviously, I actually needed to lift that thing 5 times. That was actually on the 5th attempt. So of course, like you could see you can see in the face at the end, you know, like I was almost burning out there. But of course, yeah, it is good. It's definitely worthwhile. Right now. LED video walls. Now, of course, that's whenever we are taking things into a slightly much larger scale. So now, when we actually talk about the actual LED video walls, then of course we're also talking about real seamless splicing. Now, of course, you would have heard it before, you know, like bevel edge monitors down to a certain millimeter, so on and so forth. However, though, when it comes down to our LED video wall, then of course the actual panels, like here we go. Let's take a look at this one. So I'll stop that for a second. Then of course, like this is a LED video wall panel, and of course you may or may not be able to see that. Of course, it has hundreds, thousands, millions of little pixels all over the actual panel. They will be approximately maybe like 1.6 millimeters apart from the actual pixel to pixel in a square formation, for example. So of course they are, as you can see, maybe you can see, there are thousands on there. Okay, now of course whenever they actually run up, because you can see that this one runs right to the edge. I can see even at this angle, I can see the actual pixels on the side. So of course with that, and of course another opposing panel, then of course it really is seamless. You know, it's not whenever you're going to do like a LCD video wall and you've got a cross in the middle on a 4-way split. You know, you would definitely not be able to see that. Okay. Then of course you do get the high quality factors, and then of course the actual wide color range. Yeah, that's definitely on there. You've got a modular design, so of course obviously it's very easy to maintain. You may see, or you certainly will see in the video in a few minutes or so, that there is a magnetic extractor. You know, it sounds odd to be putting magnetics on something that's made of, you know, component electricity, but nevertheless you can actually use the magnetic extractor onto this, suck out one of the panels on your LED video wall, and then of course just replace it within a couple of seconds, I would say. Okay, and then of course now we do have a couple of versions: indoors, outdoors, and then of course rental versions. Rental versions, not, you know, it's a peculiar name for that, but rental versions are in fact actually the ones that we would deploy for maybe like a concert or a rave. You know, they actually take a more high vigorage aspect against weather conditions, for example. So of course, like in those particular cases there, rental is a bit of an odd word, but it actually means, you know, the ones that are a little bit harder, you know, a bit stronger. They're also waterproof as well. They actually cover the panels in a waterproof paint. So of course, like if it was to get wet, then of course the water just simply runs off the panels. Okay. And then of course with the actual complete LED video wall solution, then of course it's very easy to install, very easy to deploy. It takes a bit of time for sure, but then of course, yeah, it's quite impressive stuff when you get into it. There's a little bit of topology there, and of course, as you can see with our LED video wall, the good old M70 is in fact actually in the equation. And of course, we can actually do things like matrix supports. We can do customized matrix using DSS, for example. You can in fact actually have a complete video wall, and then of course you can have a active channel that's actually showing you all of your alarms and all of your current events. You can actually plumb all of that into the PT without any issue whatsoever. Now, the product video wall is very impressive, so let me get that one ready. Here we go. Okay guys, so today we're going to show you about our video walls. So of course this video wall that we've got going on at the background, this is 222-inch video wall. At the moment I can see that we're showing our thermal imaging video that's available on YouTube. There'll probably be a reference below. And then of course I want to show you that this wall is in fact actually made up of hundreds of these type of panels. Now as you can actually see from the panels, that of course it is actually full of pixels. There's some instructions on the guide of which way the actual panel should be installed, and you can see that there's plenty of electronics behind here. Now between the actual pixels, it will in fact actually be as low as 1.6 millimeters between those pixels to be able to generate a excellent picture quality, just like that 4K video wall, for example. Just to show you the detail of the pixels on each panel, take a look at this. Look how small each pixel is. That's amazing. There are many different variations of this, indoor, outdoor. We also have like a retail video wall that we use for like the entertainment sector as well. So of course, like in this case here, we can also use a outdoor environment, and that's whenever they in fact actually cover it with a particular type of paint to in fact actually make it resistant against bad weather conditions. The actual panels can also create a slight curve, not much, 3 to 5 degrees, but then of course if you have enough of them, and of course your video wall is large enough, you can actually do a curved video wall as well as. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to connect this into our video wall here, and of course you're going to be able to see the real true detail of ultra high definition. Let's go. Okay, as you can see, I need to add this panel, and on the back of the panels there are arrows pointing up to indicate which direction the panel should be installed in. So nice and simply, I'm just going to line that up nice and gently, and that's it, it's installed, no problem. Each video wall comes with its magnetized extractor. So of course what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my panel. I'm going to gently put my magnetizer on there. And then of course, out comes the panel. I can do that at any position on this video wall. Okay guys, thanks for attending. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and then like. Okay guys, so as you saw, the video wall video, that is rather impressive. So of course that's these panels here, and of course yes, we're really happy with our video wall here. It's in fact it's been a real eye-opener in the innovation center here, and of course we use it nearly every day, probably without fail. And of course yes, so let's move on. You can see guys that the actual lip sync on videos on webinars is a little bit out, but we will just make the best of what we got. Right, next. Okay, interactive whiteboards. Now, of course, that is in fact actually this one here, and of course, interactive whiteboards really are quite fun. Definitely for education sectors. As far as I'm concerned, I was actually talking to a teacher just the other day, and what I was describing sounded exactly like what she needed. So, of course, like I'll show you a couple of things on this video wall here, but let's just bring you up to speed. So, of course, 3-in-1 solution, yes, okay, it's got a very feature rich. This for one here is actually the actual 4K unit. So of course, I think we have different variations in size. I think we have a 65-inch. I think there's a 72 in there somewhere. And of course, this one is the 86-inch model. It comes with Android as baseline, and then of course Windows as an option. So I will show you towards the end because I need to power it down, but I'll show you the actual Windows interface so that way it's not it doesn't interrupt too much stuff. And of course wireless projection. Now I've been challenging the guys about this because when it comes down to the actual wireless projection, you definitely may have seen this before. You may have seen that on computers like laptops, and you've got like maybe a Samsung TV nearby or LG TV. It actually says, you know, whenever you open up like Windows Media Player, it actually comes up with like streaming options where, because it's on the same network, you can actually transmit from your portable device to your big screen, for example. Well, that's what this also does. This also supports like wireless projection. So I can actually go to my Android mobile phone and do a representation of this there. And of course, that is quite impressive. So of course, like if you wanted to do a instant demonstration, you'll just sit there saying, right, okay, let me just connect to your TV. And of course, you would show them immediately. You know, alternatively, you have 5 or 6 people gathering around a 5.5-inch screen. So of course, the actual wireless projection, that is a powerful asset. I really did like that one. Stable deployment as well. Yes, because of this actual screen, then of course it can take care of itself. I think the lifespan that they put whenever it would be permanently on 365, it was completely outweighed. It was like more than 3 years, for example. So of course it's stable deployment and of course a very vigorous piece of kit. Okay, right, there we go there. So now of course, like it's good to see the actual slide with the actual dual screening. You've got some data there, but what I'll do is I'll just stop this for a second here, and of course I'll come full screen on your screen, and then what you can do, I'm in HDMI mode, so just going to press home here, just going to select the actual input, and then of course there's my PC interface, so I'm just going to select that. Right, and then of course like now I can actually use this like a computer all through the powers of touch. So there's the actual file manager, got a few files on here. And then of course around here we'd actually have things like you know, that there's the DHSP. Open that up. Okay, so now I can actually use this for training during, like, you know, the DHSP, which is our artificial intelligence course. And then of course all I have to do is swipe, and then of course I can move on to the next steps. Okay, it's very easy. Okay, you also get these pens. So of course, like there's a magnetized pen. Not too sure if you can see that so well on the webcam, but just there's a couple of pens that's actually magnetized. You can press the actual button. It makes reference to a pencil there, and there you go. You can write immediately on the screen. So of course, like that's the actual toolbox there, so you can interact immediately. It's really good, guys. I would be good because we do training maybe 2 times a week or 2 times a fortnight. I would be lost without this now. I depend on this heavily for the actual training courses. And then back to HDMI 1. Perfect. Now, of course, in this case here, I'm not too sure if all of them are in fact actually 4K. I suspect they probably are now. However, though, it is much better to actually use that ultra high definition 4K displays. Now, of course, like in my house, you know, for me personally, I think all of my TVs are actually 4K now, and we're not going to go backwards. You know, we're not going to create, you know, like 1080p technology. You know, the resolution is too low. You know, most cameras in, you know, like things like sports or retail, most of those are in fact actually 4K, and no more further than the fact that you can buy a 4K camera as well. So you can get a 4K IP and a 4K analog camera. So of course, with that said, then of course I'm not too sure if they're all 4K. However, though, I would definitely suspect that the higher percentage that all of these display units are ultra high definition. There's that wireless projection, guys. You know, that is a real good, helpful asset. That is, you know, definitely for education. Just use your everyday laptop, and then of course just send the projection to the screen. It comes up in the middle saying connecting, and then of course once connected, then of course your portable devices are a 86-inch touchscreen monitor. That is an amazing factor. So of course I think that will be valuable to many different people. And then of course the 178 viewing angle. Now of course that's quite important, because like it's not like you can see it. However, though, what I'll do is I'll just stop that. It's not like you can see it, but like in this training facility here, then of course what we actually have, we have a bank of chairs on this table over here, and of course we got 2 sets of tables and chairs here. So of course the actual room may be in fact actually about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about 4.5 meters wide. But if I was to go over to where I've got this camera stand, I can still see that screen perfectly. If I go over here, so now I'm going a bit beyond, I'm practically standing on the side of the screen, but I can actually still see all of the graphics completely fine. And I suppose you will remember that whenever we in fact actually had things like TFT monitors, oh, that's going back in the day, then of course when it goes down back to TFT monitors, if you were to stand two side on or angle of the actual monitor, didn't it in fact actually, you know, wash out the actual colors? But on this one here, it's got a massive viewing angle. So of course, like in this case here, I could be anywhere sitting in this room and I still will be able to see this screen just fine, even whenever I'm standing on the side of it, it appears. Okay. Okay, let me just show you this video, guys. Okay, this 86-inch interactive whiteboard also supports a computer interface. So, built into the actual back of the monitor, I in fact actually have a i5 computer, Windows-based. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is upgradable, and 128 gigabyte SSD drive. Whenever I put this back into the device, I have the full powers of a Windows interface in a touchscreen interactive whiteboard. Okay guys, so what I want to show you on the interactive whiteboard is that this is not a touchscreen monitor, okay? It doesn't have that type of interface. However though, by connecting to the interactive whiteboard, then of course I can actually use this touchscreen to tell this interface what to do through touch. So of course, like this is our Cinema 4D Studio that we were playing with earlier on. And as you can see, I can fully interact with this platform just by utilizing the touch. So of course, like in this case here, I don't have to spend money on a touchscreen computer. I have a touchscreen interactive whiteboard instead. A very powerful option for the education sector. We're using Windows as it stands now. We also have 3 HDMI inputs, DisplayPort, VGA and AV. Now I want to go back to the actual computer. So click on PC there. There's a video that I'm running on YouTube at the moment. Just going to engage my toolbox again. I'm going to press on the pencil. That will create a freeze frame. And then of course what I can do is I can actually write on the actual screen. I can actually highlight something that is in fact actually live within the field of view at any one time. The screen is built on an Android platform, and over here we have been having lots of fun at that. So of course we just press on this button here. We can see all of our Android applications here. I've got fruit slice here, and I'm not too bad at it. Let's take a look. You gotta watch those bombs though. There's another bomb, watch out for that. No! It's not actually touchscreen, because if it was touchscreen to have a video matrix this size, then of course it would actually cost a fortune. It would be with thousands upon thousands. But how it actually works, and what it does is that whenever you touch the screen, then of course the actual laser reports to the interactive whiteboard your X and Y coordinates of your touch. Oh, see, look at that. Oh, this pigeon, this pigeon, this pigeon. There we go. Oh, you boys are in for it. Come on, don't stop now. The interactive whiteboard does have a full blackboard whiteboard feature. Now, of course, I can in fact actually do everything that education sectors would love to have. So I can immediately write on the screen. We have magnetic pens that in fact should go on the screen. So of course we'll just put those back there. Then of course I can click on shapes. Let's get this one up. And I can make my own shapes. as of when I wish. I can then go into three-dimensional. I can make all of this. I can pick up everything, move that over to there. And then of course, if I had any corrections needed, well, that's even simpler. So if I was to draw a line here, then of course I figured that I didn't want the first 3 lines. You just press on the eraser and then of course you rub through them. And then of course they're gone. If you use your whole hand, then of course it works out like a massive eraser. Okay, so now I can go into whiteboard mode, and then of course this is where multiple people can use. So the actual screen will support 5 touches at any one time. So now I can actually touch the screen in multiple times, and of course it will in fact actually relay that information onto the screen. We could get 5 people up here all touching the actual screen. Perfect. With the interactive whiteboard, then of course it really is a bonus with our encoding technology. So then that way we can use this for wide demonstrations or education purposes. Take a look here now. I think you'll agree that's pretty cool. Okay guys, thanks for attending. So don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so of course so as you can see guys, the actual digital whiteboard, the interactive whiteboard, is absolutely amazing device. Like I said, I'll be lost without it. The trick at the end there, where I actually had to duplicate that screen, is that what I did is I connected the HDMI out to one of our encoding devices. So of course, let me just stop that screen there for you. So of course, like as you can see on this encoder, then of course it has HDMI in and out, VGA in and out, so then that way you can use it for the loop through technology. And then of course on the other side, then of course you've got the network interface as well. So of course, like what we can do is I can actually connect, start running YouTube on there, then of course connect that into this. This then turns it into be a IP camera feed for a network video recorder, and then of course I can actually take live video footage feeds from any source that has rather HDMI or VGA and run it right into a network video recorder, which is exactly how I did that trick at the end. Okay guys, so time for a subject change. Now we're going to move into smart transmission, and that's where we're going to dabble with our network switches and so on and so forth. Now we already have, and I have it here, where is it? There we go. We already have the 2nd gen PoE technology. So of course this is the new switch, so this is its first version, and then of course like now we've got the same, pretty much the actual same, but of course the actual internals are somewhat different. So of course, like on our 2nd generation switches, we of course obviously have some new perks that I think that you might find rather impressive. So let's emphatically see. So the VIP port power supply consumptions. So of course, not only does the actual switch have the ability to ensure that all of the devices that needs the adequate power is supplied to, then of course what it would actually help you do is it will also emphatically ensure that each one of those devices has the necessary power that is required. Okay, so of course it will ensure of that automatically. Furthermore, we have long distance PoE, and then of course the long distance PoE is not our ePoE technology. This is just standard long distance PoE. So I can now connect a regular everyday IP camera to this device and gain 250 meters from the equipment. Okay, so we've gone up to the new level. So of course 90 meters, then we launched ePoE, then of course obviously that went up to 800 meters, but everything had to be ePoE. Now we could just do 250 on any PoE. So of course, that's what this device will also be able to offer. Now, PoE Watchdog, now that is definitely going to be a valuable trait, and that's the type of things that we discuss frequently in our training sessions, because I know, and everybody else that goes in the field also knows, that every now and then there is a technical issue on large network infrastructure that sometimes can be explained, cannot be explained, and then of course basically you can have a camera down that of course you disconnect the RJ45 connection, plug it back in, and then of course it comes immediately back online. Well, of course, under those type of circumstances, it's difficult to fix, because since the actual camera's back up, it's working now. However, though, with the actual Watchdog, if the actual camera is connected to the PoE switch and the Watchdog determines that that camera is unresponsive, not working, so on and so forth, it will disconnect the power supply to the camera and reboot the actual camera on your behalf automatically. So of course, like there could still be underlying infrastructure issues. However, the Watchdog will help to make sure that the cameras are functional at all times, 24/7. Okay. Then of course also the actual high PoE. So of course, like at the moment it's called 90 watts PoE. We also call them the red port PoE, and of course terminology based on like PoE electrical standards will possibly recognize it as PoE++. So of course I'll stop that there. Let's just take a little look-see. Now on the actual switch, you can actually see that we have one fiber port with the SFP adapter. We have one uplink port, and we also have the regular PoE ports with 2 red ports. Okay, and of course at this moment this particular switch has a 96 total watt consumption. So of course, like we probably would only be able to use one of those right now because it's 90 watts, but then of course in the future it'd be like all of our other switches, 120, 240, 360. That one wouldn't be impressive. The actual switch itself, it's quite ruggedized, and we also have a dual power supply on the actual device. So there goes your common 12-volt DC, and then of course you also have the terminal block for a alternative DC connection. Now, it took me a while to get the data sheet because it is very, very new. However, though, I just flagged up a couple of bits that I think will be quite interesting. So wide operating temperature. So this device here, -30 degrees to 65 Celsius. Okay. Dual power supply options and Watchdog to switch between the actual functions and functionality of cameras and non-working cameras will restart automatically. Okay, I think this one is going to do very well for us. I think this is going to be a good product. Of course, obviously, there's always that factor between IT guys and CCTV guys, but I think this one's going to be a big one, and I think it's going to help. We also have, of course, when it comes down to the intelligent PoE, then of course we obviously have this factor where when you're using a Dahua switch, then of course we got PoE prioritizing. So of course, like which unit needs more draw, which unit needs a further run because of the draw possibly, so on and so forth. Now, one thing that this presentation is not mentioning today, but I think it should be said, is that in this case here, we also have the ability to be able to encode our own H.264, H.265 on a Dahua switch. So of course, like if you actually use a different switch, I got a whole range of different switches here today. So let's just turn that off for a second. So we've got a couple of switches here. So there's a Microtech router, that's router operating systems. You have to be pretty brave to engage in that one there. Then of course we've got common ones, Ubiquiti, Netgear, ProSafe. All of these are just standard switches. We even got the complicated ones. There we go. There's your good old-fashioned Draytech. These are all the routers that I actually had at the house. But like what we do is these ones here will be able to push out standard data connection. Okay, just standard data. But then of course I can go and pick up this Dahua one, and of course I know that this switch has been designed specifically to be able to work with Dahua cameras and our compression, H.264 and H.265. So theoretically speaking, I'm not too sure how I would need to do a test, but I could go get the IT manager. I'm in fact actually willing to bet that, of course, the actual throughput on the Dahua switch to our IP camera will in fact actually be better than this Netgear ProSense or this Ubiquiti or Microtech or Dratec, because in this case here, it was designed in-house to deal with the actual data streams that we also designed in-house. So of course, it doesn't make reference to that, but I think it's important to know. Okay. Now, a couple of things, because you may have noticed 2 slides back, it said 1,000 meters on coax. These devices are not being mentioned enough either. EPOE and EOC devices. So of course, like when it comes down to the devices on the left, the LR1002, that is definitely a EPOE accessory, okay? But the one on the right, the LR1002, 1ET and 1EC, they are just standard Ethernet over coax devices. And of course, what it actually does is it creates EPOE between them. Now, of course, like where you would use like the LR1002, for example, is that I'll turn this off again, but this is my EPOE network video recorder. And if I get close to the camera here, or try to anyway, can you see the way that these are just normal silver ones? And then these 8 one here are actually green EPOE devices. So of course, like from this port here, these green ports here, you can go 800 meters from here to an EPOE camera. If you were to use one of the LR1002s and you plug it into one of these green PoE ports, you could then go from here over 1,000 meters of coax and then to a EPOE camera. 1,000 meters, that's almost unrealistic installation, but it can be done. Okay, guys, and then of course the Linksys View, the iLinksys View. So of course, with the actual iLinksys View platform, then of course, very impressive so far from what I've seen. I've only had the device for a couple of days. That will be this switch here, not too big. So of course, like on the actual device, we've just got 2 RJ45 ports. We got USB, VGA, and HDMI, potentially for future expansion of the equipment. And of course, like on this device here, when you log into the platform, just like how you see there, it's got its own ability while working with other managed switches to be able to create its own network topology. So of course, like that particular scenario there, what you're seeing there, the actual dynamic view did that. We didn't actually, drag and drop the actual devices around. It just in fact actually put that in to the correct spots. So of course, like the dynamic view has the ability to do its own topology. And of course, that type of status screen will show you any alerts, like what you see in the top right corner. You can also in fact actually track, aggregation, errors, unknown problems. Like there's another slide here, let me show you. Take a look. Real-time analytics for network conditions. The best ones I see at the bottom is that you've got IP conflicts. You've also got port congestion. That's a major one. If you got port congestion, that means you're literally just about to top out your network. Then of course you also got switching status, loop back detections, and of course terminal status before the devices that are online. That type of interface, I know, especially here with the actual IT guys on the other side of the room there, in this case here, that's what they need to be looking at permanently. And of course, if they're not looking at it permanently, need not worry, because it's got an alarming system to make you aware whenever something on your network's not working the way that it should. That's going to be a key element, this one. So of course, like I don't know if we're going to be able to keep that one on the shelf for well, because like I think it's going to be extremely popular. There we go. So for the actual switches, then of course we can get baseline information, MAC addresses, subnet mask, software version, so on and so forth, PoE voltages on, off, so on and so forth. For cameras and NVRs, we can actually, of course, obviously cameras for NVRs, all made in-house. Then of course we can actually get the baseline information from the actual camera. So some cameras, it can still possibly be difficult to get the data that you need. And then of course your alarm message, port congestion, IP confliction, loop back is a pretty powerful one, loop terminal status and switch status. So of course, like you can alarm based on all of those, and of course that's pretty much to anybody that's done their CCNA or CCNP, they will be interested in every single one of those alarm messages forevermore. Right, I've got a quick video to show you.
Dahua Technology is a world-leading advanced video surveillance solution provider with rich experience in video surveillance systems. IP CCTV networks are different from traditional data communication networks and require high performance in delay and packet loss. Dahua has many smart networking devices, including PoE switches, ePoE switches, access switches, aggregation switches, core switches, wireless devices, and many important accessories. Dahua series switches are specially designed for video streaming as a video-orientated switch and is our key differentiator against other switches. ePoE switches can enable 800-meter long transmission, and industrial switches ensure performance in extreme conditions. Aggregation switches, core switches, and more offer users optimal video transmission solutions for a wide range of applications. Two of the new product solutions on offer include both second generation PoE and iLink's View platform. Second generation PoE. Dahua's products focus on higher protection capabilities as opposed to the traditional IT industry. Transmission speeds are up to 8 times faster than traditional speeds, as there is no latency involved with our equipment 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. We offer the following: PoE prioritizing, guaranteed power supply for VIP ports. Long distance PoE, a breakthrough in PoE distance limitations, a maximum of 1,000 meters via coaxial cable. PoE watchdog, 24-hour detection and auto recovery for network cameras. 802.3bt 90W, an international standard PoE protocol delivering 90 watts PoE to power the future. Same price, more powerful with no increases in cost. iLink's View platform. A big problem in CCTV network maintenance is losing the signal from one or more IP cameras. The process of correcting and detecting the problem with the network can be very challenging. It usually involves checking the Ethernet cable, switch, NVR and all connected devices, which can take a significant amount of time. We've provided a solution to greatly simplify this process, avoiding complicated network management systems. It also makes an allowance for network video recorders, which aren't included in the network management system. Our ePoE cabling is also the best in the market, offering distances over 800 meters of economic power over Ethernet transmission. We offer intelligent analytics, real-time analysis of network conditions, network management, integrated management of network devices, dynamic view, intelligent display of network topology and real-time analysis of network conditions, alarm message, real-time reports of network alarms such as port congestion, loopback, switch status, IP conflict and terminal status. The world-leading platform management is now here. Made for surveillance, made from Dahua.
Okay, guys. Oops, gosh, mute that again. Right then, so I think 4 minutes over my time. Okay, I tried to do it. All right, okay, guys. So that finalizes our aspect of the transmission and display webinar today. Has anybody got any questions? I believe I have a team standing by. I'll just give a few seconds for questions to come back then in. Okay, looks like, well, okay, well, looks like the team are answering most of them already. Good. Okay, and then finalizing then. So once again, guys, there's that data about the Kahoot with that code. You could win yourself a good goodie bag from what I understand. Leave that there for a few more seconds. Okay, right. Okay, guys, right, that's it for me then. So thanks for joining our transmission and display webinar this afternoon. As I said before, my name is Chris Flavelle, post-sales manager and designated trainer here at Dahua Technology UK and Ireland. Hopefully you can catch me on the LinkedIn. I always keep LinkedIn up to date, and if there is anybody out there that is looking for training, I always put the calendar of the future training dates onto the actual LinkedIn also. So what I'll do now is I'll close this all out. I believe the Kahoot stays up until about like 5 o'clock or something. And then of course, yes, we'll go from there. So keep safe, everybody. We're not out of the woods yet. So keep safe, and I wish everybody well. Okay, all the best.